Hey everyone, my name's Aaron and I'm a realtor in Houston, Texas. I love working with home buyers. My favorite part? Being able to educate and guide them through the confusing home buying process, step by step. That's why I decided to create this series of videos. I hope you enjoy them. I'd love to help you with the purchase of your next home, and if you're not in my area, I'd be happy to help you find someone near you. It gets complicated. Hire an expert to help you. In the last video, we left off with an executed contract. Congratulations, you've kind of bought a house. At this point, we send the contract to the title company and to the lender. This is the beginning of what we call the escrow period. It's usually 21 to 30 days, sometimes more, rarely less. Here's what happens. So we're going step by step through the process. And here we are at the point that we have an executed contract in our hands and we have handed it over to you at the title company. What do you do with it?
Once the contract is handed over to our office, we receipt in earnest money from that buyer. At the same time, in parallel to receiving earnest money, we open title. And what open title means is that property is opened, a file is opened within our office. We do the work of researching the title within the county where the property resides. We're making certain that the the sellers do not have any judgments or liens against them that affect the property or need to be paid off in advance of closing or at the time of closing. In conjunction with that, we are ordering taxes, we are obtaining a survey, we are ordering HOA statements of account, all of the things that the amounts that must be prorated, the amounts that must be accounted for in the transaction for the transition of the property from the seller to the buyer to ensure clear title, clear marketable title.
So at the point that you know that the title is clear, that's when you guys issue a title policy, right?
That's actually when we issue the title commitment. The title commitment is a precursor to the title policy.
Okay.
We share it with all parties in the transaction, so buyer and their agent, seller and their agent, to let them know, here's what we found in the public record. These are the things that need to be addressed. Here is what we're going to have to pay off at the time of closing. This is a snapshot of the title of your property.
Gotcha. And then once we clear that hurdle,
Once we clear that hurdle, so we also send that title commitment to the lender. They're going to want to see it. That property is the collateral for the loan, so they are going to want to ensure that they have a clear marketable title for that property that they are using for collateral. We work with the lender and get them all of the documents that we have been obtaining. While they have been working on financing approval, we're concerned and tasked with making sure that that property is actually good collateral for them to support that loan. So we send the title commitment along with the taxes, the survey, the HOA, all of those documents that we acquire over to them. That goes through underwriting, gets us to the point of a final approval, and then we see them shortly thereafter at closing.
Okay, so Allison, now we're at a point that we have an executed contract in our hand, and I've handed a copy of it over to the title company, and I've handed a copy of it over to you, the lender. What do you do with it now?
So there's two kind of aspects that we move into. One is making sure that you qualify for this particular property, and we do that by submitting you to underwriting. And throughout the underwriting process, we qualify without a doubt that you that property actually makes sense for you, that the house is approvable, and that's the kind of other aspect of it. So one is you, the buyer, and the other one is the actual house itself. So we order an appraisal and start to determine absolute value to make sure that we're not over lending on a house that's not worth what it says it's worth, and then making sure that you as the buyer are going through the underwriting process and getting all those last kind of check marks checked, those boxes checked, and getting you to the clear to close. So we do upfront underwriting with movement, and that's what makes this kind of different. We like to make sure that when we do issue a pre-approval letter that you've already had an underwriter look at your actual scenario, but we want to make sure that the actual property that you end up in, that you put a contract in on, is a property that also makes sense for you, and that you still qualify for that with exact taxes and some of those other items that are property specific.
Gotcha. And that's the goal, is to get to that clear to close from you guys. And I know that sometimes things happen really quickly, everything falls into place, and sometimes that can happen in 10 days, but realistically, we're looking 21 to 30 days on that, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different factors involved. Yes, in a normal lending environment, we can close a loan in as quick as 8 days if all parties adhere to that or are able to meet that, because obviously you've got sellers, you've got buyers, and other factors that play a role in actually facilitating an 8-day closing. But in a normal situation, we're looking anywhere from 21 to 30 days as far as a turnaround time for a closing goes.